Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
He's got his fresh notebooks. Fresh haircut?
No. I did not wash my hair this morning, so I stuck it below the faucet and did the Pat Riley. Just slicked it back.
Like the sink faucet? You just throw your head under the...
I know, the shower. I turned the shower on and put my head in the shower.
That was my next question. I was like, how big is your sink?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
my noggin
I'm sorry.
can't get in there. I have a huge noggin, but
yeah,
like,
I do too. I do too. But so
So instead of the water, like instead of pulling the thing and the water comes out of the shower head, you let it just stream out of the
and then I get
faucet thing,
and then I get
the
a wet,
shower.
and yeah. So this is a combination of water and yesterday's grease.
Okay.
So like that's how I get the hair to look like this.
Is part of your logic that it's going to be like 80 degrees and sunny
there's no
this
reason to shower.
afternoon? You might as well just that shower will last
like what am I going to do?
hours.
Go look nice for OTAs? This is football.
Yeah, this is.
By the way, should we have an official unveiling? Because the notepad, the notepads right now are in their seal.
break the seal?
Should
Let's
we
do
break the seal? Like
Rip
this is
that
the start of
plastic
football
coating
season.
off.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a
This
second.
is like when I watch people open baseball cards. This is the same thing.
Yep.
This is the exact same thing.
If we started a YouTube channel instead of like card openings, which have
Judd's
been
breaks.
Judd's opening of the fresh camp notes.
Okay, so this is for the.
We need
fresh
like
camp
the
note.
overhead
Judd,
cam for the second
Put it by
angle.
the microphone. The sound of it ripping.
Here we go. He's struggling a little. Nope, there we go. Oh.
Now, here's the other important factor. There's the reporter notebook thing. So I have to take this out. Okay, so now what we have here is 4.
He's fanning them for the
Oh, and look at this. They're turned so right side up, upside down, right side up, upside down.
Yeah, because the binders, in order to make it even across the
So
package.
here's the question. There's 4 of them. Which one gets used today?
I think you should draw one right now. I think we should do a live drawing here. Because
Okay.
this is day 1 of a 3-day mandatory minicamp. You might wind up using all 4 of them the next 3 days.
Sure, but this is an honor. Like who goes first?
Let's do a blind draw. Shuffle them up first. I mean,
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Now I should probably turn them all the same side up so I'm aware, or I'm not aware of which one is which. Okay.
Who's the lucky gal?
very exciting.
All right, here we go.
Which one's the lucky notebook?
Blind draw. Hold on, once more. All right,
great.
we're gonna go with this one.
Anticipation's killing me.
Great
There it
content
is.
right now. There it is.
We're going with this one.
Right there.
We're going with this one.
Incredible.
Day 1 mini camp. Now watch this. This is my last thing, okay? I'm going to go to red here. I'm going to go to red and put the day. So this is what? Tuesday?
Yeah.
So here we go.
This is June 10th.
This is
Tuesday.
Tuesday. You can see the Tuesday, day 1 mini
Yeah.
camp.
These are going to be enshrined at some point in some sort of football podcast Hall of Fame. Hey, we're going to get into a deep, meaty dive into J.J. McCarthy, the things that really matter, the statistics that really matter, the categories that really matter going forward here. But let's say you're an old quarterback around the age of 41. You've been rejected by the team that you really wanted to play for.
Yep.
And you'd like to, perform physically like a younger man, play football like you did 15 years ago. Who should you contact, Judd?
Well, there's only one place to contact there, Phil. I appreciate that. And that is our friends at Neos Elite Performance. And by elite here, we are also talking about cutting-edge technology. We are not talking about, just a simple old-school procedure. We are talking about regenerative medicine and cellular IV therapy that's going to get you going again. Here's the most important part. No invasive procedures. White glove service. Neos is going to come to you. Neos is going to get you feeling great. So if you have shoulder pain, if you have a lack of function that you're trying to get back, Neos is going to do that. If you reference Purple Daily, you are going to get $500 off a cellular IV therapy treatment as well. So we're talking no surgery. We're talking no downtime. We are talking results to get you back to doing what you love. NeosElite.com, Neos Elite.com.
All right, boys. So J.J. McCarthy, this will be his first mandatory minicamp as the incumbent starter here, the number one quarterback on the depth chart. And I'd love to, this is kind of a state of the offense format here, which we've done the last few years during the season. I'd love to talk about which measurements actually matter for McCarthy. There's been a lot of talk about kind of back of the football card statistics and, his, like in college, he didn't throw the ball very often, so maybe he didn't rack up the gaudy 300-plus yard passing performances. People are going to point to Sam Darnold throwing for 4,000 yards, and it was like 4,700 or 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns. Here are the 5 statistical categories that actually matter for J.J. McCarthy, at least in one football man's opinion here.
No, don't say that. Just say these are the 5
Period.
that matter.
Full stop.
Present them as complete fact. Be sure of what you're telling us.
Stat number 1, or category number 1, is performance under pressure. Not necessarily figurative pressure, which there just is. You're stepping into the National Football League and you're playing against great defenses, and like there's a figurative pressure to just playing in the NFL and also having the weight of a 14-win team that improved itself. I'm not talking about that figurative pressure, which does exist too. I'm talking performance under literal pressure. Even the best offensive lines in the NFL are giving up pressure on like 25, 27% of dropbacks. You will be under pressure as an NFL quarterback. And the Vikings offensive line on paper is better than it was last year. They will still allow pressure. So that's the preface here.
Okay, I've got a quick question about that. What is pressure considered as far as the time of the pressure goes? So like if you get a pocket that's clean for X amount of seconds, do they consider it pressure if it starts to leak through? Because at some point in time, QBs create pressure because of this. So like, is there a seconds model statistically as to when pressure begins?
It's a great question, Judd. And from my studies as a football man,
Yeah.
a statistical football man, I believe pressures are categorized independent of the amount of time it takes. So
Okay.
if there's a free runner that breaks through right away, and oh my God, I'm running for my life, that's a pressure.
Yep.
If you play patty cake for a half hour back there, and finally someone breaks through and moves you off your spot, that is also a pressure.
Okay.
But then you can weave in some secondary stuff like average time to throw or whose fault. Like PFF categorizes quarterback self-inflicted pressures,
Yes.
where the offensive line did its job for like 3 seconds or whatever, and now you're on your own. And some of the scrambling quarterbacks, the Russell Wilsons over the years, Lamar Jacksons, they will be charged with many more self-inflicted pressures. But so this is just blanket. However the pressure comes, how do you perform when you've been moved off your spot or you're running for your life or there's a free runner and you got to get rid of that football?
Okay.
You're going to throw like 30 passes a game. Maybe a little less ideally, but on average, like you're going to throw about 30 passes a game. And you're going to face pressure on 7 to 9 to 12 of those 30 throws. What do you do with those throws? Are you taking sacks? Are you throwing interceptions? Are you wildly inaccurate? Are you panicked? So in college, here's the good news. J.J. McCarthy, last year at Michigan, was 6th among all college qualified quarterbacks in PFF grade when pressured. He was 7th in yards per attempt when pressured. He was 3rd in big-time throw percentage. That's right.
Football.
That's like you know it when you see it, I think.
Yeah, that's a real
Kind of
thing.
Scouting thing. But it is
Yep.
it is a tracked statistic. 3rd in passer rating when pressured, behind only Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, who both had really nice rookie seasons that translated their last year of college. And maybe most importantly, PFF charted J.J. McCarthy with the highest completion percentage while scrambling his last year at Michigan. He was 71% on the run, and most other quarterbacks struggle to crack like 55, 60% would be awesome. 71% when scrambling is crazy, crazy good. So he was very good at that. In terms of last year's crop of quarterbacks in the NFL, the best passer ratings under pressure, Tua was number 1. In part because the Dolphins do a great job of baking in easy answers to the test. Outlets, they put 2 running backs in the backfield oftentimes. They run a lot of bubble screen type things like short, quick passes. The other guys on this list, best passer rating under pressure, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers was 4th. A lot of flaws with Aaron Rodgers, but when you're in the league for 20 years, things slow down a little bit for you. You can see things coming, get rid of the football. Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold had the 6th best passer rating when pressured. A guy with a very chattery mind throughout his career. So that's a credit to system. Kevin O'Connell getting Sam Darnold to play with a quiet mind, as he once said, talking about Kirk Cousins. So if J.J. McCarthy can translate his performance when pressured in college, the way that Darnold got better at it, jumping into QB rehab school, he's going to have a lot better chance to succeed as a first-year starter in the NFL.
So I was listening to something on Jordan Love yesterday, and this brings it to mind because basically what Matt LaFleur talked about was the most important thing this off season for Jordan Love is making sure he understands the intent of every play call. And the elaboration on that is, and this is where like Darnold was successful. Every play call, for the most part, is going to, because of the scouting reports, is going to try to exploit something that the defense does not do well, based on the fact that they're going to defensively do the same thing again and again and again. But what happens when the defense alters the play and the play call is in, and then the intent has to be, how do I make this work? Like if I run the play as it's scheduled, it's not going to work now. But do I know enough, and can I think fast enough to make it work? And like this to me is exactly that type of thing too, though, because if the intent falls apart and then there's pressure, can you make it up and not make a dumb throw, a dumb play? So and I was just going to say, this comes full circle in my opinion, because you know what? Darnold was never a terrible quarterback, but he was in systems that didn't work. And most importantly, he probably didn't have a mentor or a coach to help him to be like, let's sit in a room on pick the day of the week, a Tuesday, perhaps, when the quarterback works a lot of times.
The pettiness.
Let's have an idea of what you are going to do if my play call doesn't work for what you're seeing. And so this is where I think you get into a really interesting discussion of coach-quarterback relationship, and where if the quarterback is smart enough, and I think McCarthy is, that he can make anything work given the circumstances. Because I think if a play breaks down, you're a lot more likely to face pressure than if the defense plays right into your hands.
Yeah, I think also when to go back to the point you made about like the Packers sitting down with Jordan Love, you know, let's have a mind for what the point of the play call is. And there are some instances where I'm calling this play because I need you to hunt down the field for we're down by 10 points right now in the third quarter. Need you to take a little risk here. But there's other times where maybe the main point of the play call is to not take a sack because we're at the 34-yard line in a close game. We need to stay in field goal range. And sometimes young quarterbacks like Sam Darnold, which actually brings me to category number 2 here, sack avoidance.
Oh, yeah.
Sack avoidance.
Huge.
Sam Darnold was 29th in sack rate last year, percentage of dropbacks that turned into sacks. There's also, if you want to dig even deeper, there's something called pressure to sack rate.
Football.
What percentage of pressures were you sacked? Because we blame sacks on offensive line. And yeah, obviously it helps to have a great offensive line. Or it makes it harder if your offensive line's leaky, if your left tackle can't stop anybody, like obviously. But sacks are just as much, if not more, of a quarterback stat. Because, again, you're going to be pressured in the NFL.
Right.
Just because you're pressured doesn't give you free reign to curl up in the fetal position and blame it on your offensive line. So Sam Darnold was pretty bad at that last year. And there was a bunch of times anecdotally where you're watching a game and it's like, okay, just don't take a sack. Oh, my God, what are you doing? And then, of course, maybe later in the game he'd make up for it by throwing a 40-yard bomb to Jordan Addison. And it was the variance and the roller coaster of Sam Darnold. The best sack-avoiding quarterback in the NFL last year, Josh Allen, which really shows you how his career has evolved. This sort of athletic, raw talent that wasn't accurate, that scrambled himself into pressures and sacks, and he has honed his accuracy, his playmaking. He's cut down on the turnovers, and he is now the best sack-avoiding quarterback in the league. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, statues for 15, 20 years.
Yep.
They were both great at avoiding sacks. So you see oftentimes with young quarterbacks, they come in, Caleb Williams being Exhibit A last year, and they take a ton of sacks. Like Caleb Williams took, it was 68 sacks last year. Rickety offensive line, bad system, but also like, dude, what are you doing? Like he's running his way. He's keeping plays alive longer than it's not college anymore. You can't just run around. These guys are running. You literally have edge rushers running like 4 or 5 40-yard dashes. But if you look last year, some of the worst sack rates were young quarterbacks. Will Levis had the worst sack rate. Caleb Williams was second worst. Jalen Hurts is in there, and that's something that Eagles fans criticize him for. He just like is indecisive sometimes. Still good enough to win the Super Bowl. Drake May in the bottom 5, and Jaden Daniels was 6th from the bottom. CJ Stroud down here too. So you tend to see a lot of young quarterbacks that it's a little bit slower to process. They're not quite used to the speed. So I would expect McCarthy to take a lot of bad sacks, but how quickly can he become a sack avoidant quarterback? First year starting this year, obviously.
Go ahead, Dexter.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line's going to put him in a position, I think, to be pretty dang successful. But it seemed like, and I was looking at this with Darnold last year, I was like, how many times? Because I remember the playoff game, he was sacked like 9 times.
Ugh.
And the other Rams game wasn't great. The Lions games weren't great. But there were, I remember, a few times where just like, dude, throw the bleeping ball. Or don't take the 3rd and 5 sack that puts you now at 4th and 15, and now we're on the edge of a 50-50 field goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's the timing, and McCarthy just seems like a pretty smart dude that he's going to be able to either not make a mistake or not take the back-breaking sack like I feel like Sam sometimes did at times last year.
I think that this is also where your coach and chief play caller can help you a ton, though, because this speaks to the whole thought process of the run game being improved. So 3rd and 5 is now 3rd and 3 instead, and you can run the ball. Like with a young quarterback, and the Vikings are clearly aware of this, you are going to have to help him out in many ways. And I think one is, so instead of 2nd and 12, it's 2nd and 8. You get that to 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2, right? And now on what a year ago for Darnold might have been a big 3rd and 5 in which he was unfortunately sacked. It's now 3rd and 2. Jordan Mason runs the ball first down. So like this all to me is about a continuity, sticking together as far as how you're going to call your plays, what you're going to do. And this is why, like when you look at the construction, you guys, of the Vikings personnel groupings offensively going into this year, I mean, on the surface with your primary guys, there's not a lot of spots where you're like, oh, that's a weak link, right? Like that's going to hurt McCarthy. You just invested millions in your interior offensive line.
Yeah.
And you are giving him, just from a starting point, you are giving him such an infrastructure that it should make an enormous difference in down and distance, assuming guys, of course, stay healthy.
Yep, because like some of these other quarterbacks, these younger guys that took a ton of sacks, some of it is just that's life as a young quarterback. You have to live with some of that stuff. But you're also dealing with rosters that were bad enough for that team to be picking around the top 5 or number 1 or in the top 10.
Right.
And maybe coaching staffs that were, if that coaching staff stuck around like the Bears coaching staff did through the bad season, they're on thin ice because they're not a great coaching staff, right? At least in Drake May, okay, coaching staff, completely underwhelming and unqualified, fired. Caleb Williams, completely coaching staff, disaster, fired, right? Mm-hmm. Tennessee, I guess, with Will Levis being on this list, and now Cam Ward, we'll see what he looks like, is kind of in question. So those are things the Vikings don't have to deal with. Like that roster was a 14-win roster, and Kevin O'Connell is nowhere near a hot seat. So you've got this established thing that some of these other quarterbacks did not. So advantage JJ. I will say one other thing, too, before we get to stat category number 3 that matters for JJ McCarthy. Whether it's the sack stuff or the pressures and all these things, any quarterback that's above a certain line, like any first-round, second-round quarterback with talent, can sit back there in a clean pocket for the most part and do pretty well. If you gave every quarterback in the NFL, even the ones you kind of make fun of, right? If you give Caleb Williams a completely clean pocket for 3 hours, that dude's going to throw for 350 yards. Like if he's comfortable and he can kind of settle in, even with a bad scheme and a bad maybe set of weapons.
Yep.
And so I'm less interested in the plays where everything is perfectly blocked and schemed and all he has to do is sit there and throw a dart. I'm curious about the 25 to 33 to 35% of the time where it's muddy, they are in your face, they're running exotic blitzes. How do you react to that? Because there's never been a team in NFL history that I can think of, maybe one or two of them, that just ran roughshod for 5 straight months all the way through January. Mostly clean pockets, always leading the game flow, up by 21 points, and things are going great. Like in the NFL, it gets messy, it gets dirty. You're down by 10. They know you're going to pass. They're getting after it. How do you overcome those things? And Kevin O'Connell has done a good job with Kirk with the fourth quarter comebacks and with Darnold last year of kind of managing the messiness of an NFL football game. Third category here. You kind of alluded to it with third and manageable, but let's talk about performance on third down. In fact, these aren't really ranked 1 through 5, but if I could point to like the 2 biggest indicators of will he actually be good long term in the NFL, I would say performance on third down is either number 1 or number 2, with right next to performance under pressure, and they kind of go hand in hand. But it's not necessarily the 3rd and 2s. The 3rd and 2s are easy. You can hand it off. You can run play action, right? It's the 3rd and longs, the 3rd and they know you're going to pass situations. So last year in the NFL, according to expected points added, which takes garbage time out of play, it really contextualizes the value of your third down performance better than just like completion percentage. The best third down quarterbacks in the league are basically a who's who of the best overall quarterbacks. Jared Goff was actually the number 1 third down quarterback. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes 3rd, Joe Burrow 4, Jaden Daniels 5, Baker Mayfield 6, Lamar Jackson 7. So all 4 of the guys that you would put on the Mount Rushmore of current quarterbacks are in there, in Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. And then 2 former top overall picks in Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, with Jaden Daniels, one of the great rookie seasons of all time, the mobility, the escapability, all those things. So that's where the best quarterbacks separate. It's great. You can run play action on first down and complete a pass for 17 yards. Cool. Like most NFL quarterbacks can do that. When it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and they know you're going to pass and they're going to send something at you or disguise a coverage, how do you perform with them kind of knowing what the play call is? And the best quarterbacks rise above that. And here's the good news. J.J. McCarthy in college on third down. 2 nuggets for you. He was the only quarterback from the 2024 draft class Jaden Daniels was the only quarterback from the 2024 draft class better than McCarthy in all of college football on third down passer rating and first down conversion rate. So it was like if you took individual performance and then pass play conversion rate, how often did you get a first down on third down? Jaden Daniels number 1, J.J. McCarthy number 2. And then Nick Miller from Viking Age did a ton of great research a couple years ago on this leading up to the draft. The J.J. McCarthy completed 73% of his throws on third and long. Easily number 1 in his draft class. Michigan converted 55% of those third and long pass plays into first downs, which is crazy. That's a crazy high percentage. He threw 6 touchdown passes on third and long, 0 interceptions, and he threw past the sticks on third and long on 2/3 of those throws, which was tops in his draft class. So his last year at Michigan, McCarthy was awesome on third and long. And if he can translate that 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12 to the NFL, he's going to be awesome at this job.
So if he can, I think part of it, I think the starting point is this too, your poise, right? Because that's what it takes. I mean, you're going to face pressure there. So how much can you be poised under pressure? But when you have the amount of weapons he's potentially going to have on third down too, that's going to be a huge advantage. It will be interesting though to go back to what you said before, Phil. Is it's not just the pressure; it's the exotic nature of the pressure that you don't see in college, right? So, like, can you keep that poise? Because that's a great starting point. That's really impressive. But can you keep that poise when they're stunting, when they're showing one thing at the snap of the ball, but then they drop into something else? Basically, if an opponent goes full B flow, how do you combat that?
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a starting point when you can unleash Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, potentially Aaron Jones, for instance. So that's a great starting point. But yeah, this all goes back to, okay, you're going to face what you faced at Michigan, but we're going to take the dial from, let's say, a solid 4 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, the Vikings in third down to 5 yards to go. So just from that side. So from third down, 3 to 5 yards to go. The Vikings ran 45 pass plays in those situations. They converted 37% of them. They only ran the ball twice in those situations. Now, you're not that situation too. Like, for example, though, like I'll give you this: the Chiefs, in the exact same propensity, only ran the ball 3 times in those situations too. So like those are must passing situations, right? Defense knows what you're gonna do. And the Vikings only converted, about 37%, where like a team like the Chiefs got 57% in that same spot in first down. The Ravens, who have a cheat code at quarterback that can scramble around, they end up, converting almost 44% just on the ground because Lamar Jackson can run around, and they converted at a higher rate passing too. So yeah, the weighty downs, those ones that you have to have, they got to be a lot better in those situations.
Yep. And so, like, what was that Chiefs? The Chiefs converted what percentage of those? That's like third and kind of intermediate. You said 50-some percent.
Third and 5 to go, and let's see here. They converted 57% of passing plays in that situation.
So McCarthy, again, it's college versus NFL. McCarthy at Michigan was 55% on third and long, 3rd and 7 or more. Even harder because there's no question you're passing. So. Is that going to fully translate? Probably not, because you're going to the NFL.
Right.
But that's a really good sign. Okay, 2 other categories of note here, but a shout out to Northern Soda Company, who's jumped on board here for these summer months on Purple Day. Keeping us hydrated, Dex.
Look at this. Look at the Sunday Purple. This will be.
Look at that.
This will be rotated in, baby. This is rotated. I like to show you all my beverages. I always like to start my weekend, especially my football Sunday. There might be a Bloody Mary. There might be a cup of coffee. And now, entering the chat on 3rd and short when I need a first down is Northern Soda and the Sunday Purple. You can find these at your local grocery stores here, like Hy-Vee, Target, Cub Foods in Minnesota. Plus, they have a tap room in New Brighton. So you can go there. You can mention Purple Daily, get a free pint of that purple soda on tap. That's right, on tap at their at their tap house in New Brighton. Go to northernsoda.com to learn more.
MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning here. It's going to be a pretty hot one today, Judd's Camp Notes.
It will be. And Sportsnet's been telling you for how long. MSP has helped me in multiple ways. They've done great work. And now I want you to experience the same thing, especially if there's any questions about your AC. Phil's right. It's going to get hot. Following the heat, of course, is going to be the humidity of July. Book a $49 AC tune-up and get a BOGO air quality bundle, a pristine electronic air cleaner and UV light for the price of one. This family-owned company does fantastic work. Also asked about their Total Comfort Club membership, which means that your house is going to be taken care of year-round. Plumbing, heating, and air are all things that you want the comfort of your home for them to be working. Call MSP 651-615-4292 or check out their website, callmsp.com. Callmsp.com. Sportsnet is telling you right now, when they come in your house, they're going to do great work, friendly service, and you are going to be happy that you called them.
Okay, stat category number 4 here. The stats that really matter for J.J. McCarthy going into his first year as a starting quarterback. The beneath the surface stuff that you're not going to find on the back of the football card. And I would label this category driving Kevin O'Connell's car the way Kevin wants you to drive it, which is intermediate and largely over the middle throws. That's the heartbeat of his passing scheme. Those crossing routes, those little dig routes, little dig in, dig out routes, right?
Football.
Put your foot in the ground.
Yep.
And then you sprinkle in some over the top stuff. Darnold was great at that stuff, just throwing the ball down the field. Not quite as reliable in that intermediate range. That's where some of the interceptions and the errant passes came from. But yeah, KOC offenses feast in the intermediate range, and most of the throws are like, there's going to be deep throws, but most of the throws are going to be kind of in that range. So Hayden Winks, underdog Hayden Winks, put this out like a year and a half ago. I think it was leading up to the 2024 draft. So one of the big knocks on McCarthy is like, he didn't throw the ball as often in college as these other guys. And that's true. But when you dig beneath the surface, like most of Bo Nix's throws were really schemed up, short, bubble screen, college-y type stuff that you can just throw out in your NFL eval. So in terms of raw numbers, throws over the middle of the field that were dig or crossing routes in college his last year. So the throws that Kevin O'Connell wants you to be great at, right?
Yep.
Of all the prospects in that 2024 draft class, nobody came close to J.J. McCarthy, raw number of throws in that bucket. It was McCarthy, Drake May, number 2, and then a gap, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels further down that list. So like the throws that the Vikings were scouting specifically,
That the pros make.
and that Kevin O'Connell's system wants you to be great at, because like over the middle, those are high risk throws. If you're not accurate, guess what happens? Ball gets tipped off the back of a receiver's hand, and then a safety picks it off, and now it's off to the races the other direction, right? Mm-hmm. There's also, you have to anticipate when a receiver might flash open into a window. You might have to throw it to a place, and then
that's
right,
totally what you do. Yes.
and so those are harder throws. Pro Football Focus added this on throws over the middle. McCarthy earned a 91.2 PFF passer grade and an 86% adjusted completion percentage. So super accurate and effective over the middle. Both those numbers were among the best of FBS quarterbacks in 2023. Making anticipatory throws over the middle of the field is McCarthy's calling card, and it's a very translatable skill when it comes to graduating into the NFL. The best intermediate quarterbacks in the NFL last year, just passer rating on intermediate throws, where you make your living as a quarterback. Number 1, Lamar Jackson. Number 2, Jaden Daniels. Number 3, Josh Allen. Number 4, Joe Burrow. If you can cook in that range, you will be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
And the fact Jaden Daniels did is really impressive. Like, that is a really impressive thing.
The more you kind of dig and see Jaden Daniels popping into here, it's like, that was not a fluke at all last year. He's like cooking in the areas that the Josh Allens and the Lamar Jacksons do.
And what makes this this category interesting to me too is that, Jefferson made it very clear at the podium last week that he has told him, I will win at the top of the route. Like, put the ball there. But you're right. It can't be, he's open, I'm going to throw it. So think about it this way. So Justin is probably, in my opinion, the best thing going receiver-wise in the entire league. And he tells you, I'm going to win at the top of the route every time, which probably is not true, but it sounds good. And he's going to win a lot there. And what he is doing is, in some ways, he is basically saying, so you're going to have to make the throw, though, before I win. Because, like, in this league, you make the throw, he wins, ball there.
Trust that I will be there and I will win.
Correct.
What he's basically
like,
saying.
It's not like you're going to see me flash open and then throw me the ball, JJ. So, like, this is a really interesting thing. This is big boy stuff, too. Like, this is, you pull on the big boy pants and go play football here.
Oh,
this is
Football.
Where's the wall? Let me run through it.
Because college, right? College is like, I've won the route. I'll throw you the ball. That's not how this works. So like this is, and that is true though. The Jaden Daniels stuff becomes really interesting to see a guy that age with that experience make those throws.
Yep. He's popping up in all the right areas, and he is apparently a generational athlete at that position too. So Not that there's many people questioning the validity of one of the great rookie quarterback seasons ever, but in terms of gauging a sophomore slump,
maybe not.
Maybe not as much as some other guys. So, and I'll throw this on top of it too, because there is an element of deep passing in this system too. With Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson can be a deep threat too. The Vikings would like to hit some home runs with McCarthy off of this scheme, as Darnold did last year. On deep passes at Michigan in 2023, among all qualified FBS quarterbacks, McCarthy was second in adjusted completion percentage on deep passes, behind only Jaden Daniels. And he had a 10 touchdown to 1 interception ratio on deep passes. So now Michigan, I think the defense was honoring the run, so there might have been some one-on-one matchups in college that might not have been there. We'd have to go dig into the film. Maybe propagandist Thor can help us untangle some of that. But this is not to say that he was bad at deep passes. Right. He was great at intermediate passes and also thrived on deep passes.
So the deep passes, though, see, all of this also, and this is why I don't get where it started. All of this dispels the arm strength conversation.
Well, if you just watch him, you were at practice, right?
No,
but the guy has a howitzer.
But I'm saying you're citing statistics from college. So where did the narrative pre-draft 2024? Where did this narrative start? Now, my thing was, I think it's harder. It's possible, but I think it's a little bit more difficult on TV to tell arm strength at times, okay? But when you see it live, when you see the ball come out of a man's hand, come off the fingertips, boom, like it's like, oh boy. But
when you see that ball spiral out of a man's hand,
and I'm talking about a quarterback, a man's hand, much bigger than this one right here. But if you think about it, deep passes, I think statistically you would find, if you did a study, deep passes ordinarily get picked off when they're underthrown. Because if anything, they're going to be overthrown, which means they're going to miss everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So I am interested, like when you go through these statistics that go far below the surface of the ordinary stats, like again, it speaks to his arm strength.
Yeah. Yep, and that's where Judd's camp notes will come in handy again here. Hopefully it's windy one of these days. You can watch those footballs cut through the wind out of a man's hand.
I would like to see that. It was windy last week, but I feel like in OTA you don't get as much. But yeah, no, I've said the arm strength is there.
Yeah,
like Judd's camp notes are definitive on this.
I'll give you one more here. The stat categories that really matter for J.J. McCarthy. Then we'll do a random Viking of the week. And category number 5 is the necessary offensive bar to clear. The Vikings defense allowed 19.5 points per game last season. 5th best in the NFL. And I think we all agree, same scheme. In fact, 3rd year in the scheme, a lot of these players like really know the scheme now, and you're adding great players up front that will assimilate probably really well. That it's hard to envision, barring a bunch of injuries, this defense getting a lot worse than that. Like I think they get better, but let's leave some room for maybe they get a point or two worse or something. Well, that would still leave a pretty manageable bar to clear offensively. If your defense is giving up 19 or 20 points a game, you don't need to score 30 to win a bunch of football games.
Right.
Now, the top 5 offenses in the league are averaging 28 points a game, and the Vikings have been kind of fringe top 10 range throughout Kevin O'Connell's tenure. From an offensive standpoint, you'd love to see them finally get into that top 5 range where they can score 40 once in a while. But when you compare the bar J.J. McCarthy has to clear that's set by the defense to some of the other situations in the NFL, like the Panthers defense allowed 31 points per game last year. So Bryce Young's trying to figure out, my God, how do we score 33 points against the Chiefs or some of these other teams? Yeah. Brock Purdy. I mean, the Niners defense was bad last year, 26 points per game, and that roster is kind of eroding. So now Brock Purdy, here's your $53 million a year. We need you to score about 30 points in a lot of these games instead of 20 points to win a football game. Right. Joe Burrow, just a atrocious defense down the stretch for the Bengals last year.
He was phenomenal too.
Yep. And Drake May, the Patriots defense, was giving up 24, 25 points a game. That's an extra touchdown on top of what the Vikings were giving up. So just it's It's more about the points needed to win a football game is this fifth category, and the bar is very manageable for J.J. McCarthy and company.
I think one of the underlying things about that is, and there's debate about the importance, but I think in this case there is an importance, is time of possession as well. Because you want to, I mean, it feels like in the O'Connell era so far, right? We've had a lot of 3-and-outs. And now your defense is back out there. And that's taxing them. And by the way, they play a taxing style, right? So again, if your run game's improved, can you put together extended drives? Because that's not just going to keep the opposing offense off the field. That's going to keep your defense fresh. And now your defensive line can play more snaps. So I think what's so intriguing about this entire thing is like how the stew is made to me. Because it's not just on one guy, clearly, but it's also on why you improve things. Like the offensive line, the interior was improved for McCarthy's sake, definitely, but it's also improved probably more so in some ways to help the run game. And now the run game's eating clock. And now you're in 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 8. And now it's not a 4-and-out because you got the first down. And now McCarthy can hunt deep. Like there's a lot of things here that I feel like personnel-wise they're getting right for the first time. Because I think they will use them in the proper way. Yep. But like, there's just a lot of like, this goes a lot of places about why and how you can potentially win football games.
Well, there's your way too That's deep dive.
Stuff. I love it.
I don't want to hear 4,000 yards and 35. We've seen enough kind of meaningless, hollow stats in our day.
About. I'm taking Tuesdays off from now on.
If you can excel in performance under pressure, if you can excel in avoiding sacks, if you can excel on 3rd down, if you can excel on intermediate over the middle throws, you're going to be really, really good. That is good process to lay groundwork here for J.J. McCarthy.
I love the 3rd down one.
So, boys, let's do a random Viking of the week here in the last few minutes of the show. If you like the other kind of football too, the quarterfinals of the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup are coming to U.S. Bank Stadium Sunday, June 29th. Now, the U.S. men's national team needs to get their head out of their keisters.
Woo.
I think they've lost like 3 games in a row or something, or matches.
In the middle. Wow.
Well, let's go, guys. But this is the premier national team tournament of the summer, and you'll get to see 2 epic matches with 1 ticket. Some of the biggest stars from across the region battle it out at this high-stakes Gold Cup quarterfinal doubleheader. Saturday, June 29th, U.S. Bank Stadium. Ticketmaster.com for tickets. Goldcup.com/tickets for more information as well. All right, boys. Well, we rebooted the Random Viking of the Week a couple months ago.
Yeah, we might not. We might go away from it.
And I have 5 wins. You guys have combined for 0 wins. Bobby Wade, E.J. Henderson, Matt Asiata, Mike Tice, Kelly Holcomb. It's Dex's turn to throw out the clues. Judd and I get up to 3 incorrect guesses each. If one of us hits a 3rd strike, the other one wins automatically.
Don't get hotty. Don't get too cocky.
This will be my 6th win here when it happens in a couple minutes.
Early in the season. You know what this is? This is the 2003 Vikings, right? Great start. 6-0 or something. And what happens? Comeuppance. That's what happens.
This might be the 2017 or 2007 Patriots, actually, where it's.
Oh, you're going to lose in the championship of the random.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's your first clue.
Dex is anxious because we're already over our allotted time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This Random Viking was a day 2 draft pick. Day 2.
Day 2 pick.
Okay.
This Random Viking played in 89 games in the NFL in the regular season, I should say. Of those 89 games, 72 of them were starts.
I think I have an idea. Was he a day 2 pick though?
Just 1 career touchdown for this Random Viking.
Okay. could just be a really bad quarterback. You know.
Mm-hmm. During his rookie season, he was the Defensive Player of the Week.
Which week?
Week 14.
Oh, so late in the season. Okay.
I got a quick question on the day 2 pick. Was this in the modern era of second and third round on day 2, or was this in the old Saturday Sunday world?
The Saturday, I think Sunday world.
Okay, big difference.
I
Just
think.
as far as the era goes. Okay.
It is. Yeah. Well.
I can tell you right now, it wasn't day 1.
Okay.
Okay, that's a clue. That's enough of a clue.
No,
It
that's
wasn't
fine.
day 1.
That's fine.
You know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for clarification.
I actually have a guess, but I want one more clue.
Player of the week. 1 touchdown.
Or was
The
he-
Vikings head coach at the time called this random Viking a violent football player. That is a direct quote. Violent football player.
violent football
89 games. I've got a guess, but I don't know that this guy played 89 games.
Violent football player. Is it him?
Day 2 pick of the Vikings?
Yes.
Well, that narrows it. Boy.
According to Wikipedia, it was very rare for the Vikings to draft a player at his position this high in the draft.
Okay, so that's, but then that would mean it's day 2 of the modern era.
No, that guy was okay. So
Right? I mean, if we're
very-
talking about how high they drafted a position.
very rare to draft a player that high. I was going to have a guess, but it's not right. Very.
He did earn a second contract with the Vikings.
He did.
He did.
Okay, second contract.
One career touchdown.
He played in 4 playoff games, 3 of them with the Vikings. All 3 of them starts with the Vikings.
Oh man.
Okay, so this would be.
Uh,
That would not be a rare position.
Tyrell Johnson.
Tyrell Johnson is incorrect.
He didn't play enough. He didn't play. He was a day 2 pick, but 89. I don't think he ever made it to 89 games. Okay, so interior.
This random Viking is 42 years old.
Ray Edwards?
Ray Edwards is incorrect.
42. Okay, so he'd be.
So, oh my gosh. Okay. Oh man.
No, it wouldn't be that guy. Day 2. Day 2. Day 2 pick.
Or was it that year? That's a. I mean, Judd
Violent.
was like Judd was covering the Packers during this time.
Violent player. He's
Judd,
violent.
but Judd covered this player almost certainly.
Yeah, I would think so.
You covered this player.
Okay. He was violent.
Violent. He only played for one other team other than the Vikings.
Dontarius Thomas.
Dontarius Thomas is incorrect.
Once called me sir. Very, very good manners. But
This random Viking in high school played in the first ever U.S. Army All-American Bowl.
One more guess and I'm cooked. This is high stakes here.
89 games, 72 starts, and a touchdown. I'm going through the starters because, I mean, that's a ton of starts.
And the position, drafting that position this high is also like a...
I didn't know this. Like, I didn't know that up until I read the fact on Wikipedia.
I mean, I'm eliminating positions here. No, this guy had more than one touchdown.
Was he on the Love Boat?
I don't think he was on the Love Boat.
But he started 3 playoff games.
No.
Dude.
He was not on the Love Boat, and he was not on the Vikings during the Love Boat.
Oh, okay. So I didn't cover him.
You covered him.
2005 was my first.
So then
you did cover him, Judd.
You said he played 3 playoff games with the Vikings. So then this. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, so it's not him. We did him. Who played next to him?
So was he on the team in 2005 then?
Nope.
Dex?
Was not in the NFL in 2005.
So.
Oh, this is brutal.
Hold on a second then.
I think you're misinterpreting the timeline a
Yeah.
little bit.
I'm 100%. I'm going through the team. Like I know exactly what rosters you're talking about. I'm going through them mentally. The starting thing. It's not that.
He was a national champion in college.
Oh, Cedric Griffin.
There you go, Cedric
Let's
Griffin.
rock and roll, dude.
Cedric Griffin.
Come on.
Next clue was going to be was that
6-0.
ACL tear in the AFC Championship game against the Saints.
Cedric Griffin.
Cedric
wow.
Griffin. That's a good one. Daggone it.
Good solid player. Good solid player for the Vikings. So that'll be Judd's clues next week as Dex tries to dethrone this dynasty. 6-0.
Gave you one in your wheelhouse, Judd.
Violent player?
That's what he said.
Definitely not a violent player.
That's
like a pretty good player, but like not a violent player. Yeah.
And
all right.
Wikipedia is totally wrong. Cornerback? That's
Write
not
that down.
We're
Predictions
drafting
tomorrow.
cornerbacks in the day 2
And Judd's camp notes as he tries to cope mentally with
No,
getting dominated
this is
again in the
BS.
Random Viking of the Week.
I won't be silenced.
We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you guys.
I quit.